Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So in this session, we want to speak about accessible XR. I'm Alexandra Hussenot. I'm the founder of Immersionn. We are a virtual reality discovery engine. Our aim is to democratize the access of virtual reality content through all devices and platforms. My background is 20 years in the telecommunication industries. I started when I was fairly young in Ericsson in Sweden, and I then went to move on to Sony Ericsson in the mobile phone sector, and I founded Immersionn just a little bit more than 1.5 years ago. Today, one of the interesting questions I thought we could look at is indeed accessible XR, and in the sense of also in the light of the coronavirus. There is 171 million users of VR headsets today globally, according to Statista's latest report from March 2020. And there is at the same time 3.8 billion users of mobile phones. So this is to say that VR is still a very niche and an expert area, you could say almost like for geeks, like probably most of the attendees in this conference today. But at the same time, there is a massive takeoff. In the last 3 months, the Steam connected headsets, VR headsets, have more than doubled. So they've gone from 1.5 million users in January to 3 million users in April. That's a massive increase. We haven't seen that in the last couple of years, and it really shows that now there is a much higher demand in this type of experience and connectivity. We have seen pretty much the same. I'm part of a UK 5G working group here in the UK for the creative industries. So I'm working with the likes of BT and Ericsson and the BBC to look at how we can accelerate the deployment of 5G in the UK and the take-up. And we've kind of realized in the last few weeks that our job is more or less done. What has happened is that where we needed still a few months ago to convince people that we needed, more digital experiences, more connectivity. Now the whole world is more or less saying, like, when is 5G going to be there? We need it right now. We need to do VR. We need to do a lot of digital things. So the landscape has changed, and so there is definitely a lot more need for accessibility than there was ever before. So I wanted to start talking about, maybe I was going to start to talk about the first version of Immersionn, which was a WebXR application. That's what you see on the screen right now. And my intention with this was to make 360 videos from immersive journalism accessible to a wide range of people. So it's a WebXR, so you can access it from your phone, from any VR headset, from a laptop. You can see it sort of in 2D, but also if you are in VR, you can really be immersed in space and appreciate a different kind of user interface. What's interesting with this application is that we have then used it later on to build our B2B proposition. So we launched this application in December 2020. And since then we've moved on, but I'm gonna keep it to that for now because we're gonna introduce Radina. I made a very long intro, Radina. I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is Radina. Right now, I'm a Unity developer at Immersionn, and I'm responsible for Unity interactions, UI, user experience, and also 3D modeling. I'm a graduate from LCC and UAL. I'm mainly focused on technology and the relationship between art and science and technology. I like experimenting with different technologies, like mixing it together, physical objects and VR. My final project while I was graduating from my master's was open heart surgery. It's training in VR for undergraduate students. So there I had the possibility to exaggerate with some objects, but the main goal for that was to make the undergraduate students learn the steps, and then in their further education they get into details and like tissues and more detailed experiences.
Great. Did you speak about the Sherlock?
No, so yes. So I had another experience which is called Sherlock Holmes. The user is the Sherlock Holmes, and you have it has multiple endings. So each user gonna have a different outcome. You choose like it's about like a stealing a special document. You have to find out who stole it, and you go from one room to another. You have options in front of you, so it's the whole structure is like a tree. Everything is connected. The user thinks it's not, and it's not directed, but at the same time it is, because depends on your choice. You see a different type of information, so it leads you to a different ending. And then when you complete the experience, you can, when you talk to other users, you find out that they had a completely different experience. They have a completely different outcome.
Really cool, a bit like Bandersnatch from
Yes,
Netflix.
actually,
Yeah.
it was influenced by Bandersnatch, the Black Mirror movie.
Cool. So I think we said that the first thing we're going to talk about 4 social VR platforms and XR platforms in this talk. And the first one is going to be our latest web twin. So we launched the web twin last month, our first web twin with T-System, which is a daughter company of Deutsche Telekom. And what T-System wanted to do is they wanted a novel kind of digital experience for their website, but at the same time, so they wanted something much more advanced, but that was accessible from any of the 3.8 billion devices out there, so mobile phones and laptops. So we kind of reused our expertise in with the immersive journalism in mixing game engine and 3D modeling with web and with video streaming, mixing these 3 technologies to create a novel type of experience and discovery. So again, what's interesting is that we've been able to keep true to our DNA, which is to allow user to discover content. Here, the user is able to discover the product portfolio and the overall ecosystem of the T-System group in this first experience. Radina, so I think what we said we do here is that what I thought from a business point of view, this was absolutely really cool because it allowed the internal team of T-System and now their customers to really understand their overall portfolio and as one. But in terms of developing this type of application versus the traditional VR application and looking at user interface, what were the main differences and challenge and opportunities that you saw?
So the first one, like the most obvious one, is like the web twin is on a 2D platform. That's your screen, and the VR, it's on your headset, so it's a 360 environment. In VR you go straight forward for like a 3D environment, and you know also when you're developing for like a particular headset, so you have a clear expectations of your users computer and headset, and you know what you're aiming. While with the web twin, as it's going on the web, the people around the world has different devices, like not like the average user doesn't have that powerful computer. So what we made here is like we made sure there is no latency and it can work on as many platforms as possible, browsers, computers, we took all of this under consideration, and we made sure it's like it runs absolutely the same way for every user. What we did, we had to reduce the objects, so we made the low poly objects and the textures are solid colors. And the reason for that is like we can expand, we can make it bigger in the future and have more content. the objects are as simple as possible, but they give enough information to the user to understand what they're looking at. Also, it gives us, it's still 3D and it gives us freedom to have a dynamic camera. It also gives us the possibility to turn it into VR in the future. And with the 5G network, we expect our users to have more realistic objects in the future, more realistic textures, and getting into being more be more open to interact and go into immersive worlds and like interactive platforms. And talking of like XR interactive platforms, we started testing different XR platforms, one of which is Mozilla Hub, and Alex will tell you more about our experience there.
Yeah, thanks, Regina. So yeah, since we are passionate about WebXR and we think this is basically the future of VR and the web, we are of course always looking at what Mozilla is doing, and so we've started to use Mozilla Hubs to do our HR recruitment process. That's how we're using it today. Again, why? Because it's super accessible. So anyone who has no VR headset can join it from a phone or from a computer. If someone is already in the industry, which happens a lot for us as well, then it's possible to join via the VR headset. But anyone who is going to work with us is going to immediately be immersed in our world, which is somehow does include, you know, this cartoonish avatar, sub-realistic space, and obviously we need people who are a little bit imaginative to work in our company and to be comfortable with this type of product. So we've had our last interview yesterday. I thought that was really cool, went really well. Another thing that's amazing with VR is that it's unbiased. You know, you don't see the skin color of someone. You can obviously, based on the voice, you can still probably understand the gender, but it breaks the ice. It puts everybody at ease and makes the conversation very informal and interesting. So personally, this was the second time I spoke with this person. We did the first one with Zoom. We did the second one with the Mozilla Hub. And then I already know that we have someone that is perfectly fit for VR. Regina, I don't know, you were with me in the interview yesterday. I wonder what you thought about it, how you felt it went.
I felt it was supernatural because all of the navigation, like looking from the technical perspective, because I'm more technical, it was very easy to navigate. The sound is good. Also, you can access from the web as well, so it doesn't really require to have, doesn't stop you if you don't have a headset. It doesn't break the immersion as the human brain has the fact that it's low poly as well doesn't break the immersion as the human brain has this ability to get used to even abstract environment. So it went very smooth, and like you don't really notice that you're not in real world as long as you go engaged with the conversation.
Well, I did notice you were not with us a few times. Your head was moving, and then you explained that you were just dreaming. And so it's funny because with a very simple avatar, you can still already recreate some human postures and interactions. I thought that was really cool. I thought the negative point of the hubs is that a few times we kick ourselves out quite easily by just clicking the browser down. So that would be my only minus, is that you just come in and out of the room sometimes, but it's quite easy to go back in as well. But so at the same time, so we've been starting to use another platform at Immersionn as well for another purpose, and that's Altspace. And so Regina, I let you explain how we use Altspace, which is another very accessible platform.
So Altspace is a social VR platform. It's a cross media. Again, it works on a 2D mode and a 3D mode. for the 2D mode, you need a PC and you install the application on your computer, and then it's like a free world on a 2D screen. The second one is like in the VR. It's accessible from Oculus Go, Rift S, Quest, HTC Vive, and all of the mixed reality, Windows mixed reality headsets. The avatar mimics the body language. It has a full rotation of the head, the body, position and rotation of the hands, which is very like useful. It also has like every time it detects sounds, it moves the mouth of the avatar, which gives you like a feedback that it's happening, that there is an action. So users can create their own worlds there or use the Outspace worlds. How it happens, you just need a computer and a headset. As I said, you can even go with like Oculus Go. It doesn't require any computer science degree or any related to that subject qualification. You just install, like create an avatar on the website and then move to the VR. You can create a world in two ways. One, if you use the default objects that are provided from the AltspaceVR creative team. And there is another way where you can use Unity to create your own world. It's very easy. The Altspace has a support page where they give you information like step by step how to build the world, what version of Unity you need. You need a Unity upload as well. But it works very simple. Like we met a lot of people who became really big like users of the platform without having completely different degrees, like a surgeon or like actors, and they use it. What you can do there, you can watch videos with the people you meet, you can communicate, you can take a picture, you can also express feelings because it has that feature to express feelings through emojis. What Immersionn did on that platform is we created our own world and we call it Immersionn Happy Hour. And on the screen, you see a picture of our team during our first testing. We had actually a very good range of like people testing it in terms of age. And the maximum it took them is 10 minutes to get used to the platform. And when they got introduced
Can you,
to interact.
Regina, sorry to interrupt. When you talk about age, can you give the range?
Okay, so it's from 25 to 60 plus. So it was actually very interesting to see how the older part of the team got so interested in the interactive objects and super engaged with the interactions, and we had like fireworks and it was very fun, and we still like thought about our like products and what we're planning to do, and they contributed by like giving examples, and we really didn't expect that to happen. I personally expect them to be very skeptical, but it's like for them was like supernatural and they were impressed. To create a world and to run Outspace on your computer, there's specific requirements for the machine. So the minimum, it should be 8 GB RAM. You should use Windows 10. The graphic card should be like the minimum should be GTX 970, and you can go up from there. But this is kind of an average computer. As you see on the picture, the world is very low poly, but here the phrase less is more applies very well, because you can have a lot of interactive objects and you can make your world pretty, and at the same time allows you to have more and more people in the world. So if you have a super heavy realistic textures, like less people will see what you're doing. You have less possibilities to communicate with people, and this application is all about communication, and it worked very well during the coronavirus lockdown, because we met there a few times and we had like amazing time, and we attended a lot of meetings and conferences as well.
I have a thing coming up with that. I mean, I intend to use Altspace for customer meetings. I have sent a VR headset to a customer for the first time, and she will. I know she's very happy. That was I was hesitant. You know, should I give her a bottle of champagne or should I give her a VR headset? Went for the VR headset, and I know she's very happy already about it. So definitely, you know, VR is something that everybody can get excited about. It's so interesting, and I look forward to basically meet her in Altspace and show her what VR is about and what you can do with this sort of technology, not just for games but for business. A little bit like what we are doing today in LearnBright, really. And so finally, we were going to talk about Sinespace, right? So this is the not so accessible platform, but it's like it will be accessible in the future, and it's so much fun. So we were telling Konstantin and Mohamed, like, well, you know, you need to have an after party, and why don't we do it in Altspace? And then they told us, like, well, you know, there is also Sinespace. So we basically gave each other a tour of our different spaces, and we went in Sinespace, which requires quite a powerful computer, but we had lots of fun. The poly is very, and the graphics are amazing. It's really a dreamland, like a bit like a metaverse kind of idea. And we even managed to dance. What was that? The Macarena. We managed to synchronize our Macarena dancing, which was kind of the social interaction opportunity to do here. I thought that that's pretty much my vision of what XR, accessible XR should be in the future. We need to have something like this and more, but accessible from more simple device, because everything will be processed in the cloud and powered by 5G. But yeah, this was to terminate this talk, also to give you the call to action that we see you at 6 p.m. I think it's 6 p.m., right, Konstantin, for the after party?
Yes, absolutely. 6 p.m. Swiss time. It's -2 in UK. It's 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in UK.
Ah, okay. Ooh, okay, cool. And Radina, if you can just finish with the last slide so we can say goodbye and maybe ask for a question if necessary. But yeah, maybe if there is questions and still time for it, we're happy to take them. And otherwise, don't forget that you affect the world by what you browse. Konstantin, is there any questions, or should we?
Thank you, Alexandra and Regina, for the excellent talk and for presentation of also of our collaboration in Sinespace. I have a question. By the way, everybody can ask questions by the chat. I will retransmit. I have a question because you have experience on both building our platform from scratch and using already ready platforms like Altspace or Sinespace, and using this kind of platforms give you quite a leverage of your effort, but is limiting. You cannot do everything. And also my impression is that it's like you develop the business of somebody else. So what do you think? Is it better to work in with such kind of platform, or you should start from scratch with more effort building our platform?
I can give my start giving my opinion. As you see, we have started to do both. So on the one hand, we're using other platforms because also it's good for us to see what's out there, to really use what's in the market and understand where the technology is at. So we're using different platforms for different purposes. And I think that's useful. They all have their pros and cons. I think typically, you know, we saw Altspace. I think because also it's been purchased by Microsoft, it's kind of having a little bit of that, starting to become a little bit of a good business standard. It has a lot of participants, etc. But at the same time, I definitely have the ambition that in the future, we will have our own social platform version. One thing that I found interesting is that there is the operating system of the social platform, and then there is the platform itself. And in the last few months, observing the different platforms, for example, I have concluded that the avatar should be operating system dependent, but not platform dependent. So if you'd have an Oculus, well, basically you look the same everywhere you travel inside Oculus. If you'd be on Mozilla and browsing, you'd look the same everywhere you travel on the web. So that you wouldn't have to recreate yourself every time. And at the same time, your avatar is so much related to your identity. I think it will become more and more related to your identity. So that's, I don't want this managed by every single platform, but rather by a cross-platform solution. I'd really like to see Google coming back on this sort of topic, because that's very much needed. But yeah, I am passionate, for example, about creating a social VR platform for kids. So that's one I'd like to invest into. Radin, I don't know if you have a view on that.
Well, I think I don't think that we're developing someone else's business. I think we're stepping on like a base, and we build on top of that. And once we are like big enough and strong enough, we can like do better than what was already done. Mm-hmm. So it helps us for our network, help us for the team, for like recruitment, and it is useful. Why not using it? Like people always collaborate in one way or another. So I do think that we should use these tools because they were created to be used.
Very interesting. We can probably continue this discussion later in Sinespace.
Yes.
Or during the panel session later afternoon. But now we have not more time, so you should go with the next speaker.
Thank you.
Nicolas Dupin. Nicolas, do you hear me?